4200 John Deere, no crank, no fuel turn on signal. On this particular model, the no crank issue is regarding the two forward and reverse pedals on the hydrostatic transmission. They have to be in the neutral start position, and this tractor had been used to dig a hole and this neutral start switch was damaged. So what I did was run a wire directly from the ignition switch down to a remote solenoid that I purchased at Tractor Supply Company, available at many other companies, very common device, and I used the signal from that to engage the starter terminal on the far side. And the trigger signal for the starter happens to be this tan wire, which I joined to my white wire and took across to the solenoid. The other issue with this tractor is the device called the fuel shut-off solenoid. And this is an example of one here that I replaced about a year ago. And I continue to have an intermittent problem with the solenoid not allowing the fuel rack to move. I replaced this unit and I still had the same problem. Now, on further examination, I wasn't getting a signal on the pull-in winding. Now, there are three wires here. One happens to be the ground, the red happens to be the pull-in winding, which takes about 30 amps, and the other part is a hold-in winding, which takes about 0.7 amps. When I checked it with my test light, I found out there was no power coming through on the red wire, which is the pull-in wire for the solenoid to turn on the fuel. So that is fed through a device called a thermistor, and the thermistor happened to be defective on this. So what I did when I installed the starter solenoid on here, I put that on to supply a signal to my starter on the far side, but I'm also going to use it to supply a signal to the pull-in winding on the fuel solenoid. Now, this is an identification of the wires. We've already talked about that. The black happens to be the ground. The red is the pull-in winding, which takes 30 amps, a fairly substantial amount of current. And the hold-in winding takes 0.3 amps. And I had no power on the pull-in winding. So what I've done when this tractor cranks is I send a full 30 amps to the hold-in winding on the starter, and now the thing starts instantly. When you turn the key on, you should hear a click down the fuel shut-off solenoid, and you can clearly hear it now. And that was a clue when you go to start your tractor, is you should hear that click down the fuel shut-off solenoid. And this device, of course, is designed to hold the fuel rack in place in the run position. When the tractor shuts off, power's taken off the white winding, and that allows this pin to retract, and the result is the tractor shuts off. I hope you found this helpful on diagnosing a no crank, no fuel situation on your John Deere 4200.